The doctor slipped me a secret note that read, "Don't go home. Run." That night, I learned my own family was planning to put me in a nursing home just to take everything I owned. But what they didn't know was that I carried a secret that could turn their entire world upside down. My name is Martha Caldwell, and I'm 70 years old. For 45 years, I believed I had raised a good, loving son. Benjamin came into my life when he was just 2, an abandoned little boy my husband and I adopted. I poured every ounce of love I had into him, gave him safety, education, affection, and years of sacrifice. When my husband died 10 years ago, Benjamin, his wife Eleanor, and my granddaughter Olivia became my whole family. But that Tuesday, during what should have been a simple doctor's appointment, everything began to crumble. Dr. Elliot Sterling, my physician for many years, examined me just like he always did, but something about him was different. His hands shook slightly as he checked my blood pressure, and he couldn't meet my eyes. "Everything looks good, Mrs. Caldwell," he said, voice tight. "Your labs are perfect. Your heart is strong. You have many good years ahead." As I rose to leave, he stepped behind me. While I reached for my purse, he quickly slipped a folded note inside, so fast I almost didn't catch it. "Take good care, Mrs. Caldwell," he said with a strained smile. "And remember, family isn't always what it seems." A cold shiver ran through me. What was he trying to tell me? Why the secrecy? I left with my heart pounding, but waited until I was home to read the note. In the cab, my mind raced. Dr. Sterling wasn't the type to act strangely. He'd known my family since Benjamin was a teenager. Why would he be sending me secret warnings now? When I walked into the house, Benjamin sat with Eleanor and Olivia. They were whispering, but fell silent the second they saw me. Eleanor hid a stack of papers behind her back. "How was your appointment, Mom?" Benjamin asked, forcing a smile. "Everything's fine," I said. "The doctor says I'm perfectly healthy." Eleanor exchanged a look with Benjamin, one they didn't think I noticed. Why did they look disappointed? Were they hoping for bad news? "That's great, Grandma," Olivia said, but her voice had a strange coldness to it. "Means you've got plenty of time left." That evening at dinner, the tension was thick enough to taste. Benjamin barely spoke. Eleanor responded with single-word answers. Olivia avoided my eyes entirely. "Is something wrong?" I asked. "No, Mom. We're just tired," Benjamin said quickly. But I knew better. Something was very, very wrong. After dinner, I went to my room, heart heavy. The doctor's strange behavior started making sense. Hands shaking, I took the note from my purse and unfolded it. What I read stole my breath. "Mrs. Caldwell, your family came here yesterday. Eleanor asked about your mental state and whether I could certify that you need special care. They want to put you in a nursing home. They also asked about your inheritance and assets. Don't go home. Run." "Dr. Sterling." My hands began to shake uncontrollably. My own family. The son I raised with every ounce of love I had. The daughter-in-law I welcomed like my own child. The granddaughter I adored more than life itself. Suddenly everything fell into place. The strange looks, the whispers, the hidden papers. They weren't upset because I was healthy. They were angry because the doctor didn't play along with their plan. I couldn't sleep that night. Every sound in the house made me jump. I lay awake, staring into the dark, wondering how I had ended up here. How could the very people I sacrificed my whole life for be plotting against me? At 2 a.m., I heard voices in the kitchen. I slipped out of bed and pressed myself against the door. I could hear Benjamin, Eleanor, and Olivia talking, low but clear enough. "The damn doctor wouldn't cooperate," Eleanor hissed. I told him the old woman was losing her mind, that she forgets people's names, leaves the stove on, but he insisted she's perfectly fine. "Relax, sweetheart," Benjamin murmured. "We'll find another doctor, someone willing to sign what we need." "And what do we do with her until then?" Olivia asked. "I already paid my college deposit in the US. I need her money now, not in 5 years when she finally dies of old age." "Olivia, don't talk like that," Benjamin scolded, though he didn't sound bothered at all. "But she's right. We need to move fast. The house is worth nearly $500,000. And with her pension and savings we'd live comfortably until nature takes its course," Eleanor added coldly. I didn't marry into this family to take care of a senile old woman. I married you because I thought you'd inherit soon, but it's been 10 years and she's still here spending our money. Our money? The words echoed inside me, tight and bitter. Everything I'd earned, everything my late husband worked himself sick for, they saw as theirs. Tomorrow I'll talk to the lawyer, Benjamin said. I'll ask if we can declare her incompetent without a doctor. There must be a way. And if not, Eleanor added casually, we'll just make her life miserable until she agrees to go to a nursing home. Take away her TV. Don't cook for her. Treat her like what she is, a burden. Mom, that's harsh, Olivia said. Then she added almost proudly, but honestly, I'm tired of pretending I love her. She's always hovering, asking where we're going, why we're home late. It's exhausting. My legs nearly gave out. I braced myself against the wall. These were the people I worked 18-hour days for when Benjamin was little. The people I gave my dreams, my friendships, my entire life for. Remember my 15th birthday? Olivia continued. She made me wear that awful red dress. Everyone laughed at me. I swore that day I'd get her back. And what irritates me most, Eleanor added, is how she brags about being such a good mother, always talking about her sacrifices like she's some saint. She only adopted Benjamin because she couldn't have her own. She used him to fill her empty life. Enough, Benjamin said, but there was no anger in his voice, just annoyance. Listen, next week I'll tell her we found a wonderful nursing home. A place with people her age. And if she refuses, we use Plan B. What's Plan B? Olivia asked. We make her lose her mind for real, Benjamin replied coldly. Switch her medications. Hide her things. Tell her she did things she never did. Within a month, any doctor will say she's mentally unstable. His words hit me like a blow to the chest. They weren't just going to steal from me. They wanted to strip away my dignity, my sanity, my identity. Perfect, Eleanor whispered. Once she's committed, we get access to everything. We sell the house, take the pension, run through her accounts. No one will bother us. Exactly, Benjamin said. And the best part? No one will suspect a thing. To everyone else, we'll look like the perfect family caring for a fragile grandmother. They laughed. All three of them. As if they had told the funniest joke on earth. They laughed at me, at my trust, my foolishness, my unconditional love. And in that moment, something inside me didn't just crack, it shattered completely. Not my heart, that had broken hours earlier. What shattered was my belief that love is returned, that goodness matters, that family is sacred. First thing tomorrow, I'm making copies of her cards, Eleanor whispered. We'll spend a little at a time, and she won't notice. Good, Benjamin said. And I'll go through her documents. There has to be a will we can adjust. Adjust how? Olivia asked. Let's just say Grandma, in her confusion, decides to leave everything to us, since we're the only ones who care for her, Benjamin replied smugly. Dad, you're brilliant, Olivia said. But what if someone suspects? No one will, Eleanor said confidently. She has no friends, no family except us. She's a lonely old woman completely dependent on us. Who's going to defend her? They were right. I had no siblings, no close friends. My parents were long gone. I was utterly alone. But what they didn't know, what they never bothered to learn, was that I had a secret that would turn everything upside down. When my husband died, he left me more than love. He left me an inheritance I kept hidden. $2.2 million in an offshore account only I could access, and 3 properties overseas from his investments. I never told Benjamin. I wanted to see if he loved me for me. I wanted him to build a life of his own. But now I saw the truth. He never loved me. He just waited for me to die so he could grab the scraps he thought I had. Well, Benjamin said finally, I think we all understand the plan. Tomorrow we put the plan in motion. And remember, around her, we keep acting like the loving family we've always pretended to be. Of course, Eleanor replied. I'm an excellent actress. I can fake loving her a little longer. I heard their footsteps fade toward their rooms. I stayed there, frozen, holding the doctor's note in my trembling hand. He was right, I had to run. But I wouldn't run like a frightened old woman. I would run like someone who had finally awakened from a 45-year dream. I would run to plan the kind of revenge they could never imagine. I didn't sleep a single minute. I spent the rest of the night planning, truly awake for the first time in months. They had underestimated the senile old lady. Soon they'd learned they had awakened the wrong woman. At 5 in the morning, once the house was silent, I pulled out my smallest suitcase. I packed only the essentials, my documents, a few clothes, my medications, and most importantly, the little notebook where I kept every detail of my hidden accounts. Before leaving, I decided to gain one more advantage. I turned on the voice recorder on my phone. Then I pretended to forget something and walked through the hallway again, passing close to Benjamin and Eleanor's room. As I expected, they were already awake, whispering about that day's plans. Eleanor was talking about copying my cards. Benjamin mentioned visiting the lawyer to ask about declaring me incompetent. Do you think she suspects anything? Eleanor asked. Impossible, Benjamin said. She's too old and trusting. Besides, where could she go? She has no money, no friends. We're all she has. It's pathetic, Eleanor scoffed. A 70-year-old woman completely dependent on us. She chose this life. She could have remarried after her husband died, but she stayed here being the perfect grandmother. Now she'll pay for it. Benjamin answered with a cold finality. Perfect. I had recorded enough to destroy them. I put my phone away and finished getting ready. Before leaving, I left a small note on the kitchen table. Gone to run some errands. Back later. Martha. They would never question it. A senile, old woman making a strategic escape wasn't a possibility they were smart enough to imagine. I took a cab to the nearest bank. It was Wednesday morning. I had a few hours before they realized something was wrong. At the bank, I withdrew a large amount of cash and confirmed my secret accounts were untouched. The teller, a young woman named Patricia, looked concerned when I asked for $5,000 in cash. Are you sure, ma'am? That's a lot to carry. Completely sure, I said. I have personal matters to handle. From there, I took another cab to the most elegant hotel in the city. I needed somewhere safe and discreet. The Grand Imperial was perfect, quiet, comfortable, and private. How long will you be staying? The receptionist asked politely. I'm not sure, I replied. A week, maybe months. It depends on how some family matters unfold. She nodded and handed me the key to a suite on the 10th floor. In the elevator, fear and excitement twisted together in my chest. For the first time in decades, I was making choices for myself. The suite was beautiful, spacious, warm, overlooking the city. I sat on the couch and finally let my emotions rise. I cried. I cried for the 45 years I spent raising a son who saw me as nothing but a barrier. I cried for every humiliation I didn't recognize at the time. I cried for the woman I had been before I became the perfect grandmother they resented. When the tears stopped, I wiped my face and opened my notebook. I began a list. First, contact my overseas financial advisors and activate all accounts. Second, hire the best lawyer in the city. Third, find a private investigator to document everything my family had done and planned to do. At 2 in the afternoon, my phone rang. It was Benjamin. Mom, where are you? It's 2 o'clock and you're not back. His voice sounded worried, but underneath it, I could hear the irritation. I'm fine, I said calmly. I decided to take a day for myself. It's been a long time. A day for yourself? What does that mean? Where exactly are you? His tone sharpened. I'm in the city taking care of a few things, I answered. Don't worry. I'll be home when I'm finished. Mom, this isn't like you. You always tell us where you're going. Eleanor and Olivia are worried. We need to know where you are. But I heard it, panic. Not for me, but for their plan. You know what, Benjamin? I said, surprising myself with my calm. I'm 70 years old. I think I'm old enough to decide where I go and what I do. Silence. Mom, you're scaring me. You don't sound like yourself. Are you taking your medications? There it was, the beginning of their strategy. I'm perfectly fine, I said. Better than ever. Then I hung up and turned off my phone. That afternoon, I hired the most prestigious law firm in the city. When I mentioned the amount I was willing to pay, the head attorney, Dr. Graham Montgomery, met with me personally. I need complete legal protection, I explained. My family is trying to have me declared incompetent to take control of my assets. But I have recordings that prove it's a conspiracy. As he listened to the recordings, his expression hardened. Mrs. Caldwell, he said finally, this is extremely serious. What they're planning is elder abuse, conspiracy to commit fraud, possibly even forgery. We can pursue criminal charges. That's exactly what I want, I replied. But I want to do it strategically, so they feel every bit of it. Dr. Montgomery gave a thin smile. The smile of a man who enjoys a worthy fight. Mrs. Caldwell, I believe you and I will work very well together, he said. I'll assign my best team, but I need you to tell me absolutely everything. So I did. I told him about adopting Benjamin, about my husband, the sacrifices, the hidden inheritance, everything. Do you know the exact amount in your secret accounts? He asked. $2.2 million, I replied. Plus 3 overseas properties worth about $1.5 million more. Dr. Montgomery set his pen down and looked at me with a new kind of respect. Mrs. Caldwell, he said softly, you're not just a victim of your family. You're a strong woman who's been underestimated for far too long. And we're going to use that strength to teach them a lesson they'll never forget. For the first time in days, I felt a real smile forming. The battle had begun, and this time, I had the right weapons. Back in my hotel suite that night, I turned on my phone. 37 missed calls from Benjamin. 15 from Eleanor. 8 from Olivia. Their messages were crawling with panic. Mom, please answer. We're worried. Martha, pick up the phone or we're calling the police. Grandma, Dad says you're going to get in trouble. I chose to respond only to Benjamin. I'm fine. Don't worry. I'll come back when I'm ready. His reply came instantly. Mom, this isn't normal. You need to come home now. Eleanor made your favorite dinner. My favorite dinner. As if after 45 years he didn't know Eleanor had never cooked a single special meal for me. Another lie. Another attempt to twist the truth. The next morning, Dr. Montgomery called. Mrs. Caldwell, we found something important, he said. My investigator discovered your daughter-in-law has been using your personal information to open credit cards in your name for 6 months. My stomach dropped. What? She has 5 unauthorized cards, $43,000 in debt. Luxury stores, expensive restaurants, even a trip to the Florida Keys last month. But I've never been to the Florida Keys. No, ma'am, he said gently. They went. While telling you they were visiting Eleanor's sick mother. The memory hit me like a cold slap. Eleanor had cried on my shoulder that week. I had even given them extra money. What else? I asked, though I wasn't sure my heart could take more. Your son lost his job 8 months ago. He's been living off your savings. He's also contacted 3 doctors trying to find one willing to certify that you're suffering from dementia. Each truth cut deeper. They weren't only planning to betray me. They had already begun. And Olivia? I whispered. She has her own secrets, he said carefully. She's 3 months pregnant. The father is a married man in his 50s who now refuses to acknowledge her. I closed my eyes. My granddaughter. The girl I loved like my own child. There's more, he continued. Eleanor has been having an affair with your neighbor Dave for 2 years. Dave. Carol's husband. My voice trembled. Yes. They meet at a motel while Benjamin believes she's at yoga. The irony was cruel. While plotting to label me unstable, their own lives were built on lies. His reply came instantly. Mom, this isn't normal. You need to come home now. Eleanor made your favorite dinner. My favorite dinner. As if after 45 years he didn't know Eleanor had never cooked a single special meal for me. Another lie. Another attempt to twist the truth. The next morning, Dr. Montgomery called. Mrs. Caldwell, we found something important, he said. My investigator discovered your daughter-in-law has been using your personal information to open credit cards in your name for 6 months. My stomach dropped. What? She has 5 unauthorized cards, $43,000 in debt. Luxury stores, expensive restaurants, even a trip to the Florida Keys last month. But I've never been to the Florida Keys. No, ma'am, he said gently. They went while telling you they were visiting Eleanor's sick mother. The memory hit me like a cold slap. Eleanor had cried on my shoulder that week. I had even given them extra money. What else? I asked, though I wasn't sure my heart could take more. Your son lost his job 8 months ago. He's been living off your savings. He's also contacted 3 doctors trying to find one willing to certify that you're suffering from dementia. Each truth cut deeper. They weren't only planning to betray me. They had already begun. And Olivia? I whispered. She has her own secrets, he said carefully. She's 3 months pregnant. The father is a married man in his 50s who now refuses to acknowledge her. I closed my eyes. My granddaughter. The girl I loved like my own child. There's more, he continued. Eleanor has been having an affair with your neighbor Dave for 2 years. Dave. Carol's husband. My voice trembled. Yes. They meet at a motel while Benjamin believes she's at yoga. The irony was cruel. While plotting to label me unstable, their own lives were built on lies. Document everything, I told him, my voice firm. Every secret. Every betrayal. I want it all ready when the time comes. Of course. But I suggest we wait. Let them dig their own grave a little deeper. That afternoon, I did something I hadn't done in years. I bought new clothes, 3 elegant dresses. Black, red, emerald green, shoes, a leather handbag. I even visited the most exclusive salon in town. Sophia, the young stylist, worked on my hair for hours. Ma'am, you have beautiful hair, she said. Why have you ignored it so long? Because I thought it didn't matter, I admitted. I thought my job was to be the invisible grandmother who keeps everyone else afloat. Well, she said confidently, those days are over. When I'm done with you, you'll look like the queen you've always been. And she was right. When I looked in the mirror, I saw someone powerful staring back. That night at the hotel restaurant, I finally called Benjamin. Mom, finally. Where on earth have you been? He snapped, angry, not worried. Taking care of myself, I said calmly. For the first time in years. Mom, you're acting strange. We're your family. We have a right to know where you are. A right? I repeated. Since when does my family have rights over me? Since you started behaving erratically, he said. There it was, the seed of mental instability again. Erratic? Because a 70-year-old woman takes a couple of days for herself? Yes. You never do things like this. Mom, you need to talk to a specialist. Perfect. He was admitting everything on a call I was recording. You're right, I told him. I do need specialists. Experts in family fraud, elder abuse, and manipulation. Because that's exactly what you've been doing. The silence on the line grew heavy. Mom, what are you talking about? I know everything, Benjamin. The credit cards. The doctors. The lies. The trip. Your job. All of it. Mom, that's ridiculous. You're imagining things. Really? I also know that last night I heard you discussing how to switch my medication. Was that my imagination too? Silence again. Longer this time. Mom, come home, he said weakly. Let's talk as a family. No, Benjamin, I said quietly. We stopped being a family the moment you all decided to destroy me for money. Mom, please, Benjamin begged. What I'm going to do is give you one chance, just one, to confess everything. Apologize. Return every penny you stole from me. If you do that, maybe I can forgive you. We have nothing to confess, he said, but his voice shook. Then I'll see you in court, I replied. Good night. I hung up feeling something I hadn't felt in days, peace. The war was no longer looming. It had begun, and I finally held the upper hand. The next few days were an emotional storm. My phone never stopped ringing. First came the love. Olivia's tearful messages about missing me. Eleanor's shaky apologies for misunderstandings. Benjamin's pleading calls, begging me to come home. When that failed, they switched to fear. Mom, Benjamin said in a voice message, if you don't come back, we'll have to take legal measures to protect you from yourself. Your behavior is forcing us to consider guardianship. But Dr. Montgomery had already warned me. Let them file it, Mrs. Caldwell, he said during one of our meetings. It will prove exactly what they're trying to do. And you're fully protected. We already have 3 independent psychiatrists confirming your perfect mental health. Meanwhile, my investigator was uncovering more than I ever imagined. Mrs. Caldwell, he told me on Friday, your family has accelerated their plans since you left. Yesterday, Benjamin went to your bank claiming you had a psychotic episode and that he needed access to your accounts. And what did the bank say? Thankfully, the manager insisted on legal documentation. Benjamin pushed so hard they eventually asked him to leave. Then he exhaled slowly. There's more. Eleanor has been selling your belongings. Yesterday she listed several of your antique furniture pieces online. She also tried pawning your jewelry, but the appraiser refused. The items clearly belonged to an older woman, and Eleanor had no authorization. My heart clenched. Those jewels were gifts from my late husband, treasures he collected over decades. And Olivia? I whispered. She's been telling friends you have advanced Alzheimer's, using that lie to borrow money, claiming it's for your medical care. Each revelation hit harder than the last. They weren't just stealing from me. They were dragging my name through the mud and exploiting my supposed illness. But then came the worst news. Last night, the investigator said, your son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter met with a man named Paul Hayes, a known document forger. A forger? Yes. They're planning to create fake medical records declaring you mentally incompetent. Hayes specializes in fabricated psychiatric histories. A cold shiver ran through me. They weren't just plotting theft. They were preparing to commit real crimes. Dr. Montgomery, I said that afternoon, I think it's time to accelerate our plans. I agree. Are you ready for Phase 2? Phase 2 was simple and brilliant. Instead of confronting them, we'd let them expose themselves publicly. On Monday morning, I dressed in my elegant black dress, wore my best jewelry, and walked into the city's most prestigious real estate office. I had an appointment to tour luxury homes, properties worth over $1 million. Mrs. Caldwell, Rick, the well-dressed agent, greeted me warmly. A pleasure. I understand you're looking for a high-value home. That's right, I said confidently. I want something that reflects a new chapter in my life. Modern, elegant, secure. Perfect. I have 3 properties in mind. He didn't know our plan was already in motion. At exactly 11 o'clock, during our tour of the second home, Benjamin, Eleanor, and Olivia would accidentally appear at the same office. We were admiring a magnificent mansion when I heard voices echoing from the foyer. Excuse me, Rick, I said. I think I know those people. We walked to the main lobby. There they were, my family, in their finest clothes, talking to another agent. We're interested in selling a property, Benjamin was saying. It's my mother's home. She's ill, and we have power of attorney to handle her affairs. Power of attorney? The agent asked. Do you have documentation for that? Well, we're still processing the official papers, Eleanor said, her voice trembling. It's just a matter of days. We want to get a head start on the appraisal. Hello, family, I said loudly from the staircase. The 3 of them spun around at once, and the look on their faces belonged in a movie. Benjamin went pale. Eleanor's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Olivia actually stepped back. Mom, Benjamin stammered. What are you doing here? The same thing you are, apparently, I said, walking down with perfect calm. Except I'm here to buy, not sell. Rick, my real estate agent, stepped forward politely. Mrs. Caldwell, do you know these folks? Unfortunately, I said, yes. They're my family, or so I believed until recently. Mom, we need to talk, Benjamin said, trying to regain authority and failing miserably. About what? I asked. How you plan to sell my home behind my back? Or the fake documents you're preparing? Or the power of attorney you just claim to have, which doesn't exist? The other agent looked uneasy. Excuse me, he said. If there's a legal dispute, we can't move forward with any appraisal. There's no dispute, Eleanor said quickly. She hasn't been well. Not well, I repeated loudly, making sure everyone heard. Is that why I'm here buying $1.5 million home with my own money? Rick's eyes widened. $1.5 million? Olivia whispered. Oh yes, sweetheart, I said with a warm smile. Turns out your senile grandmother has more money than you imagined. I took out my phone and called Dr. Montgomery. Doctor, I'm at Richardson Associates Realty. My family is here attempting to sell my property without permission and claiming they have power of attorney. Could you send someone to document this? Of course, Mrs. Caldwell. Someone will be there in 15 minutes. I hung up and faced them with a calm I didn't even recognize in myself. We'll wait for my lawyers, I said. They'll explain exactly what documents you have, how you got them, and why you think you can sell my property. Benjamin stepped toward me. Mom, this is a misunderstanding. Let's talk at home. No, I said firmly, stepping back. There's nothing left to talk about at home. I don't have a home, not with you in it. Eleanor burst into tears, panic tears, not heartbreak. Martha, please. We're family. Everything we've done, we did it for your own good. For my own good? I raised my voice. Stealing my money with fake credit cards was for my own good? Forging medical documents? Hiring a criminal to rewrite my medical history? Each accusation dropped like a bomb in the lobby. People stopped what they were doing. I saw their faces, shocked disgust. We don't know what you're talking about, Olivia lied frantically. You don't, I said. I pulled out my phone and played one of my recordings. Benjamin's voice filled the office. We make her lose her mind, switch her meds, hide her things, tell her she did things she didn't. In a month, any doctor will say she's mentally ill. Silence. Heavy, horrified silence. That recording is illegal. Eleanor screamed. Not in this state, I replied calmly. And certainly not when it prevents a crime. At that moment, 2 attorneys from Montgomery and Associates walked in, followed by a notary. Mrs. Caldwell, one said, we understand some individuals here are claiming legal authority over your affairs. That's correct, I said. Please document that these 3 people have no legal power over me, my assets, or my finances, and that any attempt to exercise such authority is fraud. One lawyer turned to Benjamin. Sir, could you provide documentation granting you authority to sell Mrs. Caldwell's property? Benjamin opened and closed his mouth like a fish gasping for air. We're in the process of. In other words, I said clearly, they have nothing. No documents. No authority. What they do have is a criminal plan to steal everything I own. The public humiliation at the real estate office was only the beginning. As soon as I stepped outside, my family trailed after me down the sidewalk, their voices jumping between shouting and begging. Mom, wait. Benjamin yelled. We can fix this. This was all a misunderstanding. Grandma, please. Olivia cried. I love you. You can't do this to us. Eleanor dropped every last bit of her fake sweetness. Her face twisted into anger. You're a bitter old woman, she spat as I opened the cab door. We've spent years taking care of you. Benjamin gave you the best years of his life, and this is how you repay him. I turned back to her through the cab window. The best years of his life? I said quietly. Do you mean the years I worked 18 hours a day to feed him? The years I sacrificed my career, my social life, my entire future so he could have one. You chose to adopt him, Eleanor snapped. No one forced you. Don't pretend we owe you some lifetime of gratitude. I don't want gratitude, I told her, keeping my voice steady. I want you not to steal from me, not to betray me, not to plot to destroy my sanity so you can take my money. I paused. Apparently, that was too much to ask. I tapped the seat. The cab pulled away, leaving them shouting on the curb. That afternoon, Dr. Montgomery called me into his office. He looked almost triumphant. Mrs. Caldwell, your family made a critical mistake. My pulse quickened. What kind of mistake? In their desperation, Benjamin paid the document forger, Paul Hayes, $50,000 up front to speed up your falsified medical papers. $50,000? I whispered. Where on earth did they get that? Stolen credit cards in your name. And it appears Eleanor sold her car. But here's the part you'll appreciate. He leaned forward. Paul Hayes is an FBI informant. He's been working undercover for months. I blinked at him. Are you telling me my family is under federal investigation? For conspiracy to commit medical document fraud, he confirmed. The FBI has audio and video of the entire transaction. That night, from my quiet hotel suite, I decided it was time for something I should have done long ago. If they wanted to take my voice, I was going to use it louder than ever. I opened my laptop and created an account on the nation's biggest livestream platform. My title was simple: A Grandma Tells the Truth About Her Family. At 8 p.m., I went live. 3 viewers, then 20, then hundreds. Good evening, I said, looking straight into the camera. My name is Martha Caldwell. I'm 70 years old, and tonight I'm going to tell you a story that will change the way you look at perfect families. Within minutes, thousands were watching. I told everything: Benjamin's adoption, the secret note from Dr. Sterling, the credit card fraud, the plan to declare me insane. I played the recordings. I showed the papers. I laid out every betrayal like evidence in a courtroom. Messages poured in. What a terrible family. Mrs. Caldwell, you're a warrior. Make them pay. My grandmother went through this too. Halfway through, a call came in. It was Olivia. Grandma, please, she begged. Turn off the stream. You're ruining our lives. Am I? I said, letting my viewers hear every word. Or did you ruin mine first? Everyone at school is talking about this. I can't even leave the house. And how do you think I'd feel locked in a nursing home you planned to ship me to? Declared incompetent? Stripped of everything I worked for. That was never going to happen, she whispered. We were just exploring options. Exploring options? I snapped. I raised you from a baby. I held you through nightmares, cooked your meals, paid your tuition. And you stood there smiling while your parents plotted to destroy me. Silence. Then soft broken. I needed money. For college. For other things. You thought I was your personal bank, I said. You helped plan my downfall to pay your bills. Tell that to the 4,000 people watching right now. How do you know all that? She whispered. Because I'm not the senile old woman you think I am. She hung up. 5 minutes later, Benjamin called, furious. Mom, stop this. It's defamation. It's not defamation when I play your own voice, I said. Or show the bank statements in your handwriting. Those recordings are illegal. Not in this state and not when preventing a crime. But Benjamin, tell me something. I leaned closer to the camera. Do you want to explain why you paid a document forger $50,000 yesterday? Dead silence. Mom, how do you know that? Because Paul Hayes works for the FBI. Congratulations, son. You're not just a thief. You're now part of a federal conspiracy investigation. The chat exploded. FBI. FBI. This family is going down. Go, Grandma. Benjamin's voice cracked. Mom, please. We're family. A family? I repeated softly. A family doesn't do this. You're not a family. You're a group of people who share a last name and a goal. We need that money, Mom, he cried. We're drowning in debt. And that gave you the right to destroy my life? It wasn't personal, he whispered. Those 3 words cut deeper than anything else. Well, I said quietly, it's not personal for me anymore either. I took a breath. I'll see you in court. I hung up, looked into the camera, and smiled sadly. And that, dear viewers, was my family. Tomorrow, I'll continue this story. Good night. I ended the stream with more than 7,000 viewers and hundreds of messages of support. For the first time in weeks, I fell asleep feeling something I had forgotten existed. I was not alone. The next morning, my phone was buzzing nonstop. My stream had gone viral. Thousands of messages poured in. Support, love, outrage, and stories far too similar to mine. Hundreds of media requests. And surprisingly, dozens of messages from older people who had survived the same kind of betrayal. Mrs. Caldwell, one woman wrote, my son did the same thing to me. Thank you for speaking up. You gave me courage. Another message read, I'm an attorney who specializes in elder abuse. Your situation is textbook. If you need legal help, it's yours. Free of charge. But the message that shook me most came from a woman named Carol Sterling. Mrs. Caldwell, I'm a social worker. Last night, because of your stream, I stopped a family from committing their 75-year-old father. Your courage is already saving others. At 9 a.m., Dr. Montgomery called, sounding breathless. Mrs. Caldwell, I have news that changes everything, he said, wearing a triumphant smile. The FBI arrested Paul Hayes last night. During interrogation, he confessed to everything your family asked him to do. Not only had Benjamin paid him to forge medical records, he also admitted that they ordered a fake will, one claiming I was mentally incompetent and leaving everything to them. It felt like the floor dropped beneath me. A fake will? I whispered. Yes, Dr. Montgomery said. The plan was far more elaborate than we realized. First, they'd use the forged medical documents to have you committed. Then they'd present the fake will. And eventually, they'd wait for your death. My God, how long had they been planning this? According to Hayes, he continued, Eleanor contacted him 4 months ago. This wasn't panic. This was deliberate, calculated, and premeditated. That afternoon, still shaken, I received a call I never expected. It was Olivia, and for the first time in weeks, her voice sounded genuinely broken. Grandma, can we talk? Just you and me. What for, Olivia? So you can lie again? Manipulate me again? No, Grandma. To tell you the truth, all of it. I can't carry this anymore. Something in her voice made me pause. All right, I said. But we'll meet in public with witnesses, and I'm recording everything. Whatever you want, she whispered. Just please come. We met in the hotel cafe. Olivia looked nothing like her usual polished self, eyes swollen, clothes thrown on in a hurry. Grandma, she said before I'd even sat down, I never wanted things to go this far. How far did you think was acceptable? I asked quietly. At first, Mom and Dad just talked about convincing you to move to a luxury nursing home. They said you'd have company, people your age. She swallowed. And I thought maybe they were right. The house is big, and sometimes you seemed lonely. She met my eyes. But then I learned about the money. What money? I asked. They didn't know about my private accounts. No, but they knew about your pension, your savings at the local bank, the value of your home. Mom had been digging for months, going through your papers when you weren't home, calling the bank pretending to be you, even visiting your old boss to ask about your retirement pension. Each word cut deeper. And when convincing you wasn't enough, her voice cracked. When Mom found out the doctor said you could live another 20 years, she said she couldn't wait that long. She needed the money now. What did she need it for? I asked. To pay Dad's debts, Olivia said, wiping her eyes. He lost over $100,000 betting on sports. He owes dangerous people. Another blow. Benjamin wasn't just irresponsible, he was reckless and in danger. And you? I asked. What part did you play? I needed money for college. And for other things. She touched her stomach. Other things like what, Olivia? She took a breath. I'm pregnant, Grandma. The father is married. He wants nothing to do with the baby. I needed money to figure out what to do. My heart cracked for her, but anger still burned. So you helped them drive me insane? I didn't know they wanted to drive you crazy, she cried, drawing glances. I thought they just wanted a doctor to say you needed special care. And what's the difference? I don't know, she whispered. I guess there isn't any. She cried quietly for a long moment. When you left, she continued, everything collapsed. Mom and Dad do nothing but fight. Mom blames Dad's gambling. Dad blames her greed. And I'm in the middle, pregnant, broke, terrified. And what do you want from me now? I asked. I want you to forgive me. And I want you to know that if you testify against them, I'll tell the truth. Everything I know. Everything I heard. Everything I saw. I studied her. Why change sides now, Olivia? She wiped her face, trembling. Because last night, Dad told me that if everything goes wrong, they'll say I was the one who stole your jewelry. They'll say I manipulated them. They'll even claim I needed money for drugs. Drugs. I repeated. I don't do drugs, Grandma, she sobbed. But Dad says it will sound more believable coming from a rebellious teenager. then admitting they planned everything. There it was. The final betrayal. They were willing to sacrifice their own daughter to save themselves. Do you have proof? I asked. Olivia pulled out her phone. I have recordings of all their fights since you left. Text messages where they planned to blame me. Videos of Mom counting the cash she got from selling your jewelry. Why did you record all that? Because a week ago, she whispered, I realized that when this is over, they'll abandon me too. I'm underage. I'm pregnant. And I have nowhere else to go. They were going to need a scapegoat. And that scapegoat was going to be me. I studied her carefully, trying to see whether this was another attempt to manipulate me, or if, for the first time, I was hearing the truth. Olivia, I said softly, if you testify against your parents, your life will change forever. Your relationship with them will be gone. My relationship with them is already gone, Grandma, she said. The moment they used me in their plan against you, and then tried to sacrifice me to save themselves, that's when it ended. And what do you want in exchange for your testimony? I want you to help me finish high school. I want you to help me make the right decision about my pregnancy. And I want you to teach me how to be a strong woman. Like you. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of the bond one once had with my granddaughter. Olivia, I said gently, if you do this, if you help me get justice, I'll help you with high school and with your situation. But I'll also teach you something far more important. What's that? That real family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by loyalty, respect, and genuine love. And sometimes protecting yourself means walking away from toxic people, even if they share your last name. Olivia reached across the table and held out her hand. Deal, Grandma. I took her hand, knowing this moment marked the beginning of the end for Benjamin and Eleanor. Deal, my girl. But now you're my ally, and allies protect each other. Are you ready for that responsibility? More ready than I've ever been for anything in my life. The day of the trial came faster than I expected. In just 3 weeks, Dr. Montgomery had built a case so strong that even my family's expensive lawyer urged them to plead guilty. But Benjamin and Eleanor refused. They wanted a trial, convinced they could fool the jury with the image of a caring family helping their confused grandmother. On the first day, I arrived at the courthouse in my best black suit, walking beside Olivia, who had moved in with me at the hotel during the legal process. Are you nervous, Grandma? She asked as we climbed the courthouse steps. No, my girl, I said calmly. I'm at peace. The truth always finds its way out. The courtroom was packed. My story had made national news after several outlets covered my live streams. Journalists filled the halls. Cameras flashed. And dozens of older people had come to support me. When I saw Benjamin and Eleanor at the defense table, I barely recognized them. Benjamin had lost weight, dark circles carved under his eyes. Eleanor looked pale and shaky. The fear of prison had stripped away every trace of arrogance. The prosecutor laid out the case masterfully. Recordings of their plan to drive me insane, proof of credit card fraud, the conspiracy with the document forger, and the fraudulent mortgage they put on my house. But the most powerful moment came when Olivia took the stand. Miss Caldwell, the prosecutor asked, can you tell us what you heard when your parents discussed their plans for your grandmother? With a steady voice, Olivia revealed everything. Every conversation, every scheme, every betrayal. She described how they planned to switch my medications, how they calculated the money they'd receive after my death, and how they intended to blame her if it all went wrong. When she finished, the courtroom went silent. Several jurors wiped away tears. The defense attorney tried to tear her apart. Miss Caldwell, isn't it true you're pregnant and need money? He asked sharply. Yes, I'm pregnant, Olivia said with dignity. And yes, I need help. But I'm not lying for it. I'm telling the truth because it's the right thing to do. And didn't your grandmother promise to help you financially in exchange for your testimony? My grandmother didn't promise me money, she said, firm and unwavering. She promised me support because I finally had the courage to do what's right. There's a difference. When it was my turn to testify, I walked to the stand feeling the weight of every eye in the room. Mrs. Caldwell, the prosecutor said, can you tell us how you felt when you discovered your family's plans? I felt like my entire life had been a lie, I replied. 45 years, and they didn't just betray me. They made me doubt every moment of love I thought we shared. They made me wonder if I was ever anything more than an obstacle between them and my money. And how do you feel now? Now, I said, looking straight at Benjamin, I feel free. Free from the lies, the manipulation, and the burden of loving people who never truly loved me. The defense attorney tried to paint me as a bitter, wealthy woman exaggerating everything, but by then, the truth was already out. Mrs. Caldwell, isn't it true that you have millions of dollars your family never knew about? It's true, I admitted. I have resources they were unaware of. But those resources do not justify conspiring to drive me insane, stealing my identity, or forging legal documents. Don't you think your family deserved to know about that money? Deserved, I said firmly. For planning to commit me against my will? For stealing from me month after month? For betraying me in the cruelest ways possible? The trial lasted 5 days. When the jury finally deliberated, it took just 2 hours to return a unanimous verdict. Guilty on all counts. Benjamin received 12 years in prison for conspiracy, fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. Eleanor was sentenced to 10 years for the same crimes, with additional years for mortgage fraud. As the judge read the sentences, Eleanor wept uncontrollably, while Benjamin stared ahead, hollow and empty. Afterward, as we left the courthouse, a reporter asked, Mrs. Caldwell, do you feel justice was served? I feel that legal justice was served, I said. But the real justice was discovering who I truly am, before it was too late to enjoy the rest of my life. 6 months later, I bought a beautiful house on the outskirts of the city. It's smaller than my old home, but filled with sunlight and a lovely garden where Olivia and I spend our afternoons together. Olivia graduated high school with honors and decided to keep her baby. Now she's studying law, inspired by everything we endured, determined to specialize in elder protection. Grandma, she asked me a few weeks ago, as we planted flowers together in the garden, do you ever regret adopting Dad? No, my dear, I replied, caressing the petals. I only regret not realizing sooner that kindness should never come at the cost of self-destruction. And what did you learn from all of this? She asked. I learned that real family isn't defined by blood or years shared. It's defined by respect, loyalty, and unconditional love. I learned it's better to be alone with dignity than surrounded by betrayal. And I learned it's never too late to start over. Now at 71, I am living the fullest life I've ever had. I travel, read, make new friends, and above all, share a genuine bond with my granddaughter, the daughter of my heart I always wanted. Benjamin and Eleanor have tried contacting me from prison, but their letters go straight to the trash, unopened. Some doors, once closed, should never be opened again. Every night, I give thanks for 3 things. Dr. Sterling, who had the courage to warn me, my own strength, which I didn't know I had, and the lesson that endings can also be beginnings if you have the courage to write your own story. Kindness still guides my life, but now I practice it with wisdom. I help older people facing similar situations, support Olivia in her studies, and have created a foundation to prevent elder abuse. But most importantly, I finally learned to love myself as much as I've loved everyone else all my life. And that, my dears, is the most valuable lesson of all.